Hello, everyone. My name is Commander Void. We're just going to be going over some interesting price changes. Been about a week since we last checked them. There's one card in particular, it's actually the thumbnail for the stream, Azuri's Predation. We're going to go over that card in a little bit. Had to get a little drink of water there. I'll wait for some people to show up, though. I'm starting to do the old content that I used to, where I did like deck text, but they're a little bit easier now because I can just, what is it called? Screen capture. So I don't have to go and find each individual image, overlay it. It's a little bit more convenient. I don't expect people to feel sorry for YouTubers, but it took a long time to do the old way. When you think about old deck tech videos where I would sometimes have to get, God, at least 50 different card images, and I'd have to overlay them all. And that's just for one video, and it might get me like a few thousand views. Wasn't too bad. Obviously, my view count's going to be a lot lower coming back. Have to kind of make a comeback, as I've said many times since I returned last month. I kind of committed channel seppuku back in January. Just basically stopped making content altogether, and it was not a good idea. I should have probably just made a couple videos a month, maybe, just to kind of keep some sort of engagement there. But just completely cutting off the video production was a bad idea because now I have to basically rebuild an audience. I mean, there's still something there. I still get like at least 500 views on these videos. But I just remember making like a top 10 video and it could get easily 10,000 views. So it's just something I'm going to have to work at. So today I wanted to do something fun. After I go over MTG stocks, I will be looking at my channel, going back just for fun, watching some old videos of mine, probably just top 10s, because my opinions change all the time. So let's go and check out MTG stocks, and then we'll go head over there. So a big deal here. Today is July 3rd. Now, this card, Azuri's Predation from Commander 2015, has not been reprinted, and for some reason, it's a $14 card now. For those of you that don't know, for each creature your opponents control, you put a 4/4 green beast creature token onto the battlefield. Each of those beasts is going to fight a different one of those creatures, which is pretty good, but for 8 mana and a one-time use sorcery, pretty much, it might not be that big of a deal for some people. It could be considered a board wipe in the right deck, but I don't know. It depends again on what kind of creatures your opponents have. I mean, 4 power toughness, I mean, that's pretty good fighting every creature your opponents control. But this is most likely going up to around 14, probably because it hasn't been reprinted in about 5 years. It's been 5 years already. We got about, what, 9 people in here? 13, something like that. Thank you all for stopping by. Now, this card, Auntie's Hovel, has gone up quite a bit. I believe that's for the Awesome Goblin support. This is almost like a $50 card. So last week, no, since yesterday. So these are single day changes. I'm using the interest tab on MTG stocks, by the way. So if people want to, they want to read it along with me, feel free to do that. Got some reserve list stuff here. Power Leech, Thriving Moor, Gisela Blade of Gold Knight, Scarecrow getting a reprint. That was a pretty big deal. But those are just day-to-day changes, and anything can really happen day-to-day. You want to go for the week changes, the weekly changes. That's probably the better idea, just to kind of get something a little bit more, I guess, secure. You kind of know what's happening. card prices fluctuate every day. This is just a little bit more telling. So here we have it again, Azorius Predation. So this isn't just a single day change, a fluke. It's a weekly change. We get some more of the cards from Jumpstart, some newer cards. Don't really care too much about the price changes there. Antis Hovel again. Pretty big deal. Pretty much the only card that does this, right? It's just mana fixing for a Goblin deck, which is pretty cool. Stroke of Genius. Target player draws X cards. This has been around for a while. It's not necessarily better than Blue Sun Zenith because at least Blue Sun Zenith, you just shuffle it back in. You have the potential of playing it again. It is a bit more flexible, though, with the mana. So instead of playing like 3 blue, you only pay 1 blue, 2 generic, and then X of whatever. And Power Leech, we saw that. Whirlpool Warrior. Not a super big price change. Trying to look for the big ones. Entomb from Odyssey. That went up about $10. That's almost a $30 card now. Very underrated. Just 1 mana instant. Put whatever you want into your graveyard. As long as it's a creature, of course. Oh, wait, no, it's any card. God, I forgot about that. Alms Collector has been steadily rising. $19, almost a $20 card. It's very cool. I mean, you just have some cards that do one thing, and there's not many that really do what Alms Collector does. So if an opponent would draw 2 cards or more, you draw those cards, or instead you and that player each draw a card. It's kind of hard to read these from where I am, but I'm doing my best. It's just cool. You have manipulation and card draw, which in white, it's not always the easiest thing to do. Island Sanctuary. This card is very bizarre, but it's a good one. So you may decline to draw a card from your library during your draw phase in exchange until your next turn. The only creatures that may attack you are the ones that have flying or island walk. Look at that artwork. God, that's such a beautiful looking card. How are you guys doing? Probably because of game night. How's it going, David? Oh, that's just chilling in my binder. Wasn't sure what to do with Azorius Predation. I had a stack of cards from the Commander 2015 deck that I bought a while ago. And that was one of the cards among them. And I was just looking at it. I was like, this is a pretty cool looking card. It might have some usefulness in a token deck if I can find a place to put it. So is Game Night, is that like a channel? Or is that a card? Yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of YouTube channels, or at least I used to, for Magic the Gathering. And, if they do something, a lot of people tend to follow, especially if you watch the people that play, what's it called? Commander Versus. A lot of stuff going down with that show, and a lot of people tend to follow up and try to repeat strategies they see on there. Necrogen Mists, this one's going up because of Tiny Bones, I believe, right? Imp's Mischief, this one's been going up too. Reanimate's always good. Pearl Medallion. And good old Urborg's now almost a $40 card. All right. Well, I think that's about it. I didn't really see anything new as far as like old prices go. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go and watch some old videos of mine, or at least just one of them. I didn't plan on doing a long live stream today, but I just thought this would be fun to do. God, why did it change? All right. So I don't know if I want to screen share. I don't think I'll screen share just yet. But I'm just going back in time. Going back a year ago. It's hard to believe that a lot of these things are already a year ago. Okay, so sometimes you just have to go to all-time viewed. Oh, wow. Yeah, we could go do this one. I know you guys can't see the screen, but oh my God. I used to do these really weird intros where I would say, what did I say? I said wasabi, but I said it in a really silly way. I'm glad I stopped doing that because that was pretty annoying. What else? What I think I'm probably going to do. All right. Okay, so sorry about the wait. I'm going to screen share now. So this is a video I did back June 2017. So over 3 years ago. I wonder if my voice sounds different. I hope it doesn't. I might have to turn it down just a little bit. Whatever the hell you want to call it, I don't really care at this point. Basically, this is my opinion, my own personal opinion. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. Post your suggestions down in the comment section of any commander you think is really fun, and I'll give it some consideration. And this is a list that could potentially be open for any changes in the future, and this may not be the only list I actually do of this subject. So without further ado, here. Whoa. I'm immediately getting the monotone. I didn't used to be. I mean, I used to be a lot more monotone then. Like my voice, I didn't really my vocal range wasn't that great. Like I'm already just kind of cringing listening to that. See what you guys are saying. Prices have only been going up even during the pandemic. In your opinion, will the prices hold considering more Commander players are joining the game as well? I think the prices again, like we keep hearing about the current epidemic, it potentially getting even worse. So I don't think Magic has really much to worry about other than the game stores. Outside of the game stores, like you still have potential. Um, Many comic book stores are kind of suffering the same fate. I know like a game store that had to close down specifically because of, what's going on. They just don't really have that much revenue outside of actual like gameplay, like hosting tournaments, events, selling products. With and hosting events, I mean that's a pretty big deal with Magic the Gathering. If you host events, that's the whole reason why you buy the cards, right? So you want to have a place to play. Unfortunately, game stores that are specifically game stores and nothing else, or exclusively game stores, I should say, they get punished harder than anybody else because at least comic book stores that do events, they can sell comics. You don't need to be in a public setting to read a comic book, even though comics are still suffering. At least that's an avenue that they could go and keep. They can still keep their store open. So I think Magic is still going to do pretty well compared to other hobbies, compared to other, I guess you could say, nerd-related products. But it's not looking too promising. I will say though, if we have more sets like Ikoria, the Commander products, people are, they're always going to buy these. Game Night are the gameplay videos of the Command Zone YouTube channel. In the latest one, Azuri's Predation did some work, as they are some big time influence. As they are big, they influence the market when cards appear on the show. Yeah, yeah. Who's another one? Saffron Olive. Well, probably. I love that guy. I guess I'd say I watch more YouTube that isn't Magic the Gathering related, but God, where were we in this video? Here's number 10, Doran the Siege Tower. Now, for many of you, you probably know about this commander. He's very... Oh my God. Like, going back and just listening to how I sounded back in 2017 is painful. I just sounded miserable doing this. Like, I didn't even capitalize the T in 10. And already, number 10, Doran the Siege Tower. God, that was such a different time. Very fun to play with. It doesn't really do anything too crazy, but what he does is he just kind of... All of my creatures are really cheap to cast because they have higher toughness and absolutely like no power at all, but that's not what matters. Doran makes it to where suddenly all your creatures with this massive, just huge toughness are suddenly... They all have massive power because that's basically what it does. If you have something... Oh my God. Jeez, I might have to go through and delete all these old videos. I must have been really nervous back then to record my voice. I mean, I still am. But my voice was so monotone. I guess I was so nervous, like my grammar was terrible. Yeah, but I mean, I like Doran. I don't know why I made him, number 10. So this is the top 10 most enjoyable commanders. This is from 3 years ago. That's a 210, like so many of the tree folk are, and that's why this is another reason why Doran is just so much fun to play with, is because tree folk tribal right there. That's a fun task, building that type of deck where some tribals are like very obvious, and this is one of them to where you can, if you have tree folk, and they're just so much fun to play with. It's so much fun just to look at, just all the awesome different things you can do with this, with play around. And oh my God, I must have been intoxicated too. I'm all over the place. God, this is a chore to listen to. Would I put Doran on a top 10 now? Probably not. Not a top 10 most enjoyable commanders list. There's a guy called Vadi Ildal who basically can make target creature's power or toughness 1. If you use its ability on a creature your opponents control, basically, effectively, they become 1/1s, which is hilarious because all your creatures are just going to steamroll literally anything they have. And it's one of those brainless decks that it's just so much fun just to play with. I can't really say enough about him. He's just that much fun. Number 9 is Riku of Two Reflections. Everybody knows about Animar from the same pre-constructed deck back in 2011. The cool thing, though, is that Riku is arguably better. I kind of sound sad, too. Is anyone else getting that? I sound a little sad here. God, I might have to cut this one short. This is so painful to go back and listen to. I had to be intoxicated. I used to drink. I made some videos where I talked about drinking. Definitely not professional. So I might have to go through. I mean, how many views did this video get me? I have to go see after, but it is. It is it's so painful. Like it's just painful. Or more fun, and just so many different options you have with Riku. You can play a creature-based deck, focus it around getting the tokens, or you can play more of a teamer control deck and try to use spells like Insurrection, copy it, just so that it makes it harder for your opponents to counter those massive types of spells. I mean, that's actually true. I still agree with that. This is like a completely different person, guys. so many different interactions, and sometimes the most fun to play with decks are the ones that aren't so obvious in the strategy, or they take more effort to play or take more effort to recognize potential. And that's actually probably the smartest thing I said so far in this video. I sound more like I am chill, almost in I don't care mode. Yeah, I mean, I sound very, very mellow. Like I don't really care what's going on. It's all right, guys. If you don't like my opinion, it's okay. I'm just gonna talk in circles, like with the door in the siege tower one. Wow, was that bad? I don't think I would. No, I wouldn't go on and on about that in the way that I did anymore. Different opportunities. It was almost like I was trying to convince myself of what I was saying. Opportunities to take advantage of, and that's why Riku's on this list. He would be higher if only I just felt that while he has potential to be very powerful, I just never really been overwhelmed by Riku. There are ways that you can definitely abuse cards like Cultivate and just get massive amounts of ramp with. Oh, I liked what I did with the background. I had a transition background where it just kind of popped up. Well, that's cool. I just feel like it's sort of, there's not really much of a direction other than just copying spells, so that's why is that number 9. Number 8 is Rune of the Hidden Realm. If you love ETBs, if you love abusing just awesome creature ETBs, this is definitely your commander. Bant has just so many different awesome creatures, and one of the best ones is Deadeye Navigator, which interacts with all of them very well. Rune is very similar in his ability, although it's not easily manipulated or abused. You do have to tap him to get the whole exile and to blink it back. It's not as easy. It does take time to get him to get going, but once you do, it's just so much fun interacting. A close runner-up was Brago. The only difference was I feel Brago is more oppressive, and a lot more builds are more based around controlling what your opponents do rather than just having fun, whereas I feel Rune is more diverse because you're also playing green in addition to Azorius colors, but you're also... I don't disagree with some of the points. Yeah, it's like I've always agreed with you on that point. I can't build a deck that everyone wants to build. I had some points back then, but it's just, gosh, now I know what people were talking about. I get messages even now. People watching these videos, they're like, why do you sound so monotone? Why do you sound so miserable? Going back and watching, I know exactly what they're talking about now. Also have that benefit of, because you're playing green, you're playing all these epic creatures like Terastodon, Acidic Slime, that are just so awesome to flicker. You get control, you get removal of artifacts. And oh, God. I just contradicted myself there. I just said I don't have Brago in here because I find him to be oppressive. And I just said, well, what I think is fun is just flickering Acidic Slime and Terastodon. God, that was pretty bad. That was, I will say that was pretty bad. So while it is easy to hose down with something like a Torpor Orb, it is so much fun once you get it going. Oh, wow. That's a card I haven't heard in a long time. Torpor Orb. 3 years ago, Torpor Orb was everywhere, ruining my life. It's fun to play against too because there's all these different creatures. One of my favorite creature-based decks too, by the way. Number 7, one of my personal favorite decks that I've actually deck teched on this channel, Prossh, Sky Raider of Care. Now, I still agree. I think Prossh is still one of my favorite commanders. I guess, like, what is it? I feel like I don't want to be making the video. That's how I sound. I sound like I don't want to be making this video, which was a big mistake. I had to learn that early on. This is still like, I think maybe a few months after. Well, actually, if this video is back in June, that means that this is only like a month after I started my channel. So this video was pretty, I mean, this is early on. Yeah, Brago tricks aren't as mana intensive as Rune. You do get, things you can blink. You can also blink mana ramp, artifacts. But gosh, I mean, I definitely learned. I learned from these early days. Moving onward, moving forward, I should say, I learned to just sound a little bit more excited, sound a bit more entertaining. Oh, if you didn't watch my deck tech, he is so versatile. There's so many different directions you can go with him. You can go the whole ETB, you can go the whole burn trigger route with Perforos or Impact Tremors, or you can go with the whole sack trigger route with Blood Artists, Grave Pact effects, or you can just overrun because you are playing a token deck. And Craterhoof Behemoths is a really good finisher in this format, so can't go wrong there. So that's why he is on this list. Would be higher if I felt that while he is fun, he is more well-rounded than fun. So that's why he is only at number 7. What does that mean? There's certain things I said, I don't understand what I meant by that. He's more well-rounded than fun. I'm confusing myself here. I'm listening to my old self. I'm like, what the heck was I talking about? 6 is the Mimeoplasm. Out of all of the Reanimator decks, it is all based around gathering some type of unholy advantage over your opponents, whether it's just casting Living Death or just getting all these creatures back from your graveyard. Mimeoplasm is awesome because he sort of takes that but kind of puts it in more of a Voltron aspect where you're trying to get the most impressive creature on the field at any time. This is very easy to do in Mimeoplasm decks for obvious reasons. You are playing a deck where it's easy to manipulate what cards enter your graveyard and what cards leave your graveyard. The only downside is that you do exile these creatures and you never get to see them again. But cards like Death's Shadow, Sheoldred, Jin-Gitaxias, Vorinclex, all the Praetors, and there's many more. They all work so well together when you exile, and you just get a massive creature in return that does something crazy. And it's just so much fun just to see what type of combinations you can get onto one Mimeoplasm. And it doesn't feel overpowered. It never really feels like you're oppressing anybody, which is probably the best thing about it. And it's just so entertaining just to watch this deck work too. And when it's at its best, it's really good. It would be higher if I only felt that its success rate was significant enough to deserve it. But I think that when it does get going, again, like I contradicted myself here just a little bit. If its success rate was higher, I don't believe that anymore. I really don't think that the measure of a fun deck is how much you win or how often you win. I think it's more about like if your flavor, if your strategy is satisfying enough for you. Again, like this is always going to be a subjective topic when we go and talk about like what is fun. Well, fun can be anything to anybody. I mean, I did have the disclaimer at the beginning of the video saying that this is just my own opinion, but I don't know. Obviously, I did it to get a lot of views. A lot of people they just want to sit down and enjoy a top 10. Uh, I don't know. It's one of the more entertaining decks to watch. Number 5, one of the newest commanders, Breya Ethereum Sculptor. Why did I do that? Why did I put Breya there? One of the newest commanders at the time, so this is just a year after she came out. I guess it's because with Breya you have so many directions to go with in artifacts, and just 4 colors are inherently going to be more open-ended. You see the top of my list, you're going to see one thing and one thing in particular. It's sort of the interaction and how much fun you can possibly have, how many different ways you can win. Is a deck linear? And if it is linear, is it fun? Breya is the artifact queen, and just having those 4 colors that interact very well with artifacts, there's so many different things you can do. It's not always like clear like what's the best option, and I think those are the best commanders, the most fun are the ones where it takes a lot of thinking to get going. Now, there are some builds that are just stupid and so easy to figure out, and it's not going to be so difficult to figure out how you want to win. But there are many builds that are more interactive. Take a leap of faith and think that this is the best option right now. Maybe I want to burn my opponent, or maybe I want to remove a creature, or maybe I want to gain some life. Who knows? whatever phase of the game you may be in, or whether it's early game, mid game, late game, you have options, and it just takes someone who. Oh my god. This is pretty painful to watch. Like, I don't change the tone of my voice at all. That's the worst part about it. Who knows what they're doing to really take advantage of them, and that's the fun part too, is that you get to see other players, like newer players will struggle with a commander like Brea because she's not very straightforward, whereas experienced players that really know how to handle her definitely just they thrive with this type of commander. So keep that in mind. She's not for everybody, but she is one of the most popular commanders. Number 4 is a personal choice of mine. While many people probably don't even know what he does, Norin the Wary is just chaos incarnate. Ooh. Now, personally, I do think this is still one of the more fun decks you can play. I do love Norin the Wary, although I haven't played him in a while. It's been a while. I don't even have one anymore. So, like mono red ETBs, I think we can do that now with, God, what's the new, not a new one, but it came out last year, red, white, and red, white creature, legendary creature. He's like, it's not Wrath Capuchin. It's like the other guy on the Weatherlight. But anyway, this guy is capable of, like, when he dies, you can bring back each creature and artifact put in your graveyard. So that's a better ETB deck for red. But Norin the Wary has always been a pretty good ETB deck for red, like mono red. Mostly in the sense that you're getting an ETB trigger just about every turn, as long as your opponents are doing something, which will cause him to blink. He's going to come back at the end of turn. Such a weird deck, too. I mean, very rarely, I haven't really seen anything else like it since. I meet plenty of old heads that don't care about winning as much as socializing after they tell stories about all the broke stuff they did back in the day. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of that way now. Not saying I'm an old head, but I do prefer to just sit down and have a good time with my friends. Hola, mi amigo. How's it going? It. This guy is hilarious, and in mono red really gets. Yeah. Gerard, Weatherlight Hero. That was the red white creature. It's taken for granted in the commander format, and I think the main reason why that is many people automatically associate that with goblins or anything having to do with that type of strategy. However, mono red in commander is way more than that. And in fact, you're talking about one of the most disruptive colors ever. You're talking about a color that is basically control, but we don't call it control. It's actually disruption. You are able to use what? Like fork. Again, I said things I don't know what they mean now. I don't know what I meant by that. I guess maybe red has its own kind of control. I don't know what I meant by that. Change the target, the spells. There's so many abilities that do stuff like that, and you have so many things that alter the paradigm of what everyone else is doing in the game. Whether it's alter the paradigm. That was a little pretentious there. I'm not gonna lie. But I understand what I was saying. With red, you can basically, like with cards like Confusion and the Ranks, Possibility Storm, you really do change the course of the game. It is a pretty big deal. Oh, I want to be able to cast this spell without anything else happening. Well, it will change things. It will change things in any particular way. I feel like Norin the Wary, although you can focus on the ETB triggers, which what most people end up doing. I feel that when you want to play the ultimate red chaos deck, he is the best commander because he dodges so much removal. He dodges just about anything chaotic you want to do, and you still have that little dude coming in at the end of the turn. And it's just so much fun to have that to rely on while you're also ruining everyone else's strategy for the better. you're making it to where the oppressors, the people who are trying to win the game really quickly, they have to wait and they have to think about something. And one of my favorite cards that pretty much embodies red is Possibility Storm, and it was on my top 10 list for red. And it's so underrated, but it just embraces the chaos. And I feel that Norn the Wary is the best commander to fill a deck with these types of cards. And so, yeah, when you're thinking about mono red and you think that it's the weakest color, technically you're not wrong. But I mean, you can have some of the most fun experiences with mono red decks. And this is definitely, if I had to recommend one deck over any other deck on this list, it would probably be Norn the Wary, just because the deck is inexpensive. A lot of the red cards you would use to build it are cheap as hell. Number 3 is Nekusar the Mind Raiser. I love how I just go from, it's just one of the most fun decks ever, and then Nekusar the Mind Raiser. Oh God, I had a good laugh. How do you let someone in your playgroup know that they're a tryhard / overly competitive without coming across like a huge baby? LMAO. I guess the best way to do that is to just, I never just flat out say, you need to play a different deck. Sometimes it's good to do that, just be direct. But if I don't know the person, it's kind of hard to be direct. I'll just be like, guys, I don't like moaning either. Like moaning and groaning. Man, you have to be a little bit sarcastic too. You got to sometimes be sarcastic. So here's what I would do. Wow, guys, I didn't expect the game to last the whole 4 turns. That's what you got to do. I didn't really expect it to last a whole 4 turns. That was really deep playing experience, guys. You just got to be a little act like you're not having a good time. That's really it. I mean, everybody does it. And then people will probably adjust. I've had friends that do that. They play decks with the goal to try to win as quickly as possible. And then it turns out, well, if no one else at the table's having fun, you could have the best deck in the world, you won't have fun. You could win every game and you're like, well, what's the point of this? No one else is having fun. Unless you're like a psychopath. And that's your whole goal in life, is to just make everyone else around you miserable. Dr. Bell, the consensus definition of fun seems to be doing original things instead of trimming the fat of a deck strategy to win consistently. It gets old. I agree 100%. I think when you're talking about optimizing decks, like if you see a Traxa and you're like, oh, I got to optimize it. I got to put in the best planeswalkers. I got to have the best ramp. I got to have all the expensive stuff. I mean, yeah, if you want to play competitive EDH, go ahead and do that. It's fun in its own way. But yeah, I mean, doing something original is always, again, different strokes for different folks, but it seems to be, a safe bet. If you do your own thing, you're probably going to have more fun. Yeah, attack them every time. If they don't listen after you ask, it's just don't play with that person. Yeah, you don't have to play with people. You have free will. Usually, if you feel like that, multiple will as well. And if you're making sarcastic comments, they should get the hint or just stop joining your games. That's the thing too. Like some people just never learn and they just keep doing it. So you can arrange, I guess, a time where you can play with the friends that do want to play a good game, and just have that time be something that the other person can't join in. It might be a little mean, but you're not excluding them from playing with you at all. You're just saying, hey, the deck you're playing it's not fun to play with, considering the decks that we have right now. Razor, very linear in the strategy. Yes, I know, but one of the most fun decks to play against, more so than any other deck on this list. Playing against Nekusar has its benefits. Oh my God. Why did I say that? One of the most fun decks to play against. I remember reading the comments a while ago, and I finally get what people were talking about. This makes zero sense at all. I guess maybe in the sense of if you like getting card draw, if you like a quicker game, maybe Nekusar games can be pretty quick. If it's, yeah, you're gonna lose really quickly if you're not careful, but it's just so entertaining just to see, oh, can they do it? Can they draw you out? Can they burn you with Nekusar? Can they burn you with Underworld Dreams? Anything like that? It's so much fun and it speeds up the game. One of the most underrated aspects of the deck is that it's so much fun to get everybody involved in this game of card advantage. If you're not careful, yeah, you can lose, but it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Oh my god. It's not an argument. It's so much fun is not an argument. I don't know why I kept saying that. I guess it's a unique strategy. That's what I should have said. I should have just kept to that. Like, it's a different strategy. It gets so different compared to everything else in the game. I mean, there's so many decks now that focus on like wheeling and dealing. You have group slug, you have stuff like that. But I guess at the time it was still pretty new. But yeah, gosh. Just to see how people react, and a lot of people hate him. They hate him to death because of how easy it is to win with that type of strategy, but it's so easy to control. So easy. Most of the time, if you're playing Nekusar, you're not always going to play to win. You're going to play to speed up the game, and that's what he does very well. Wheel effects, they have a tendency to do that whenever. Again, like, my reasoning was flawed. It speeds up. Some people just play to speed up the game. They don't play to win. I don't know why I said that. Whenever you give anybody more card advantage, it's going to speed up the game and everybody's potential to win. So while it may not be the most competitive, Commander's definitely the most interesting one to play against. Number 2 is Derevi Imperial Tactician. Now, out of all the commanders on this list, Derevi takes the most effort to play, hands down. I cannot stress that enough. I would say the only one that would compare would be Breya, just because you have sort of a similar, how you interact, it's very similar. You have so many different options, but I feel with Derevi, there's no really one clear direction that you want to go with her, because there's so many different options. If you are a deck building enthusiast like myself, you look at Derevi, and I mean, there's so many different options. There's so many different ways that you can go. You can go tokens, you can go Voltron, you can go Bant good stuff, you can go ETB Flicker Trigger deck, and I don't exactly know why. Like, I don't make videos like these anymore, and a big reason why that is because the reasoning is all over the place. So something like with Derevi, what I just said was there's so many different directions you can take her in. I also said the same thing about Prosh. So why would this one be like 2 or 3 spots ahead of Prosh? I don't know. It's a little all over the place. But yeah, I mean, we got here, just add misplay. Hey, Void. How's it going, guys? You went from monotone to writing or dying for Nekusar. I know, that was... I went from like, just trust me, guys. Trust me about Norin the Wary. Just take a chance on Norin the Wary. The next option is literally something everybody hates. Yeah, don't beat yourself up too much. We're all out here learning. I was definitely learning that. We got a generous super chat here by Will Tactics. $10 here. Or $9.99, I guess. Yo, Void. Pick one card you feel like represents you as a Magic player. My pick is Word of Seizing. If I'm playing red, it's always in the deck. It sounds familiar. Let me look it up real quick. Oh, yeah. Split second, gain control, or untap target permanent, gain control of it until end of turn, and gains haste until end of turn. I love that card too. I love it in Yamano red decks, because you also have a lot of other stuff. It's like active treason, but even better because you can take other permanents. The card I would pick that represents me the best, I said before, it's Possibility Storm. I just like how it always people love it or hate it, but I mean, the thing about Possibility Storm is that I don't play it that much anymore. So it would have to be something completely different now. It would have to be something. Gosh, this might take a while, but I always tend to go for group hug, chaotic stuff. So if I had to be completely honest, either that or black and white. Black and white's my favorite. So if it had to be one card, though, it would have to be. God, I forget the name, but it's a blue-white sorcery, 5 mana, but you can exile a permanent. And each of that permanent's controller, or the owner of that permanent, each of their opponents gets a token copy of that card. I forget what it's called, but I have played that quite a bit. And if we can get someone in the chat here to remind me. Yeah, Fractured Identity. Thank you, Charles. Fractured Identity is the card. It's that it's good because it's removal, but in group hug, you're also solving a problem and helping out your friends. So, I mean, that card, there's also, I mean, there's just a ton. There's a ton of weird cards that are good in a more political setting. And I'm always going to go, like now, I'm always going to go for something that's a little bit more advantageous for more than just myself. So if I can help a teammate out, a friend, an alliance, it goes a long way to really making the commander experience even better. It really enhances it. So thanks again, Will Tactics, for the super chat. Very generous of you. Yeah, good card. Yeah, Word of Seizing. The split second cards are hilarious. Absolutely. I mean, it's just, there's so many different ways, and you're not wrong. No matter what you choose to do with her, whatever strategy, you're not wrong, because there's no clear-cut favorite way. You could focus on the tap triggers, and I mean, you're not wrong. There's so many different ways that you can. Oh God. You're not wrong. I guess this is from the perspective of, I guess I really liked Derevi back then. I must have really I must have been really high on Derevi for some reason, but you could make the justification for pretty much every other commander. I mean, you're not wrong to play it how you want to play it. I don't know. Play with her, it's so much fun. And also, this is another deck very much like Breya that new players are not going to succeed big time with this type of commander. It's going to take a lot of skill to make a very good Derevi deck and play with one. If you are a very experienced player and you know what you're doing, and you've played so much commander, and you know how each deck interacts with Derevi, you're most likely going to understand how to win with her, and you can become very dangerous if you play with Derevi, because she is one of those commanders that, depending on your skill set, you can really do some damage. That's very much. I just talked in a circle there. I kind of just said the same thing twice. So I said, if you're an experienced player, you're going to take advantage of Derevi, because, if you're an experienced player, you're just going to take advantage of Derevi. I believe I got a lot better since then. Much unlike any other commander that I've seen, you have such a gap in skill set where newer players are going to struggle with her, yet the most experienced players are going to just tear ass and just have so much fun. She is one of my favorite commanders just because how much skill she takes to really master. Number one, the most skills to master. I think I was trying to be a little pretentious here, trying to be almost like an elitist. Fun commander in the format, my personal favorite. If you like Storm, you already know what I'm about to talk about. Yidris Maelstrom Wanderer, the Cascade King. I mispronounced the name too. It's Maelstrom Wielder, but I got it confused with Maelstrom Wanderer. I like Yidris. I don't think I've ever played him that much though. I think I just went out on a whim here. Again, this is just a year later, and everyone I knew was playing this kind of deck. So they were playing with Storm. They were going for combos. I knew at least one guy that made a really good one. He made a really good Yidris deck, and that was all I could think about. I was like, this deck is really cool. But it didn't last that long. Like I don't play Yidris decks anymore. And it's not just because of the lockdowns, it's because I guess the strategy just got old for some people. I think I've maybe played like one Yidris deck in the last 3 years. Yeah, it's been quite some time. Yeah, everybody automatically assumes that you're going to be swinging with Yidris and getting all these cascade triggers while you're basically going to be playing Storm regardless. And in these colors, there's just so many different options. Paradox Engine is my current favorite card, period, in Magic right now. Oh my god. I just said Paradox Engine. Wow, this is old. It's just 3 years, but that's old in Magic time. Yidris, and with Paradox Engine, with mana artifacts, you have one of the most fun to play Storm builds ever. Storm and Commander is just so much fun because you don't exactly know what you're going to get, whereas Storm in Modern is more predictable. Storm and Commander in a singleton format, it's just one of the most fun experiences you can ever have. And while it does take money to optimize a deck like this, it definitely is. Oh my god. I do have to disagree with that. I feel like if you do optimize your deck and Commander, you do know exactly what you're going to get. You know your 1-drops, you know that if you get like a 0-drop in there, that's very predictable. In fact, I mean, in many cases, the gameplay is exactly the same in Storm. Like you just play a certain you get a good setup. And then once you go off, you're like, okay, I can untap my lands. I can play more spells. And then you eventually win the same exact way. So your win con is most likely going to be the same exact thing, or at least one of 3 things. So the gameplay, the way you win, isn't different game to game. It's so much fun to both play against and play with. So anyway, guys, if you like this video, check out my others. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I do a lot of good content. I have other top 10s. I have deck techs. I have rants. Yeah, I don't do rants. I don't do rants anymore. Let me take a look at the actual video itself now that I'm closed out of it. Oh my gosh. I got 160,000 views on just that one video. 1,600 thumbs up, 200 thumbs down. I would thumbs it down. At least now. I guess people, oh god, I don't even want to read the comments. Oh, Paradox. Oh, someone said 8 months ago. I'm reading the comments right now. Paradox Engine is my favorite card in the format right now. Did not age well. Oh, God. You say that until you face 3 Nekasar decks and 1 wheel kills 1 person. You spent so long talking about Norin. I truly believe he's number 1 in your heart, as he should be. Says Brago is too oppressive. Puts Prosh on the list. God, I love reading these. I love reading the old comments. God, I'm dying too. I like Yidris. I don't think I would put him. I don't know. He might still be. I doubt it though. Like in the top 10 fun. So we got 11 people in here. I want to thank you all for stopping by. That was a cringe fest if there ever was to be one. My reasonings were all over the place. I mean, if you watch a deck tech or a top 10 I've done so far, just in the last month, I probably got a lot better. Like, I don't talk in circles. I don't waste that much time talking about one card. And if I go and I go through and I edit the audio, I'm certainly going to do a better job than what I did back then. So, anyway, thank you all for coming by or stopping by, I guess. What should I do for tomorrow? I might do another stream tomorrow or just make another deck tech. I'll probably do a deck tech. I enjoy doing the ones I'm doing so far with the screen capture. A little bit easier, as I said earlier in the stream. I don't quite have to do as much editing. Before, I'd have to go on Scryfall and just download the PNG files for all of the cards. So I would have like 50 PNG files on my computer, all for just one video. Those days are hilarious. I mean, I would spend maybe like 6 hours editing a video. I'm not doing that anymore. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next time.